All right, live. G'day. Yeah, exactly what I said. Hey guys, how you going? How's everyone's weekend been? It's been a pretty nice one here. Can you guys hear me all right out there? Maybe just shoot me a message to say if you can or you can't. Hey Kurt. How the Tristas treating you? Loud and clear. Thanks, Aaron. How are you finding that Spiral Pro heat globe? That's a tongue twister. Thanks, Luke. Thanks for that. Do I own a tree skink? No, I don't. The only skinks I own, I've got some blotch blue tongues and I have one little she oak skink. Oh, it's good to hear, man. I saw a photo of one of the ories up earlier. Definitely brought a smile to my face. I don't have any tree skinks. Yeah. Did you put it on a thermostat, Aaron? Because they get super hot. I got to buy some more for my olive python enclosure and also my jungle python enclosure once I get some LEDs hooked up in there. Nice. That's exactly what you want. I think I've got mine on and off thermostats, but dimming's where it's at, that's for sure. My green tree frogs and my pirons are doing very well. They're all growing like weeds, especially the pirons. They've got a big appetite on them. I've got one little red-eyed tree frog that's a little bit slow to grow, but yeah, not too bad. He's catching up. I'd say for one blotchy, ideally, if you can give him the space, probably a 120 centimetre by 60 centimetre floor space at least. That's pretty much what I'm housing pairs in here, in rabbit hutches, converted rabbit hutches outside. But yeah, it's a little tight on my liking. I think if I end up keeping them after I move or whatever, I'd like to see them in something a little bit bigger. That's all right, Rachel, no worries. Awesome skinks. I absolutely love them. As far as blue tongues go, they've got to be my favourite. Hello, games made of cardboard. What heat do I give the frogs? I don't give them anything. Now, the reason I don't give them anything is I've got a lot of heat inside this garage, so it does get ambiently a lot warmer than it would outside. But, if you were to maybe just even stick a little heat mat on the side or even just like a little heat globe on top of your enclosure and maybe put it on a thermostat just so that it doesn't overheat them, that'd probably be a good idea. How are my water pythons going? I have a love-hate relationship with my water pythons, Aaron. It's yeah, I love them. They don't love me, but they're going well. They're eating away. I'm building a large vivarium at the moment. What would you say is the most important thing in creating this bioactive environment? If you're building it out of timber, I'd waterproof the heck out of it, just so then you don't get any timber swelling or any rot or anything like that in there if you can. I got a video coming out on Tuesday on how I very quickly waterproofed the base of a vivarium for a customer. I did a bit of a custom build for her, fitted out a vivarium for a spotted python. I actually used a tarp and kind of pinned it into place as a bit of a protective layer because I didn't have time for waiting around for things to kind of dry. Apart from that, lots of dirt, lots of plants, lots of live critters. It depends. If you're making it natural, just want to do it simply and natural, just a nice deep mulch layer and a few basic plants that don't need too much watering if you want to keep it simple. Just like my green tree python enclosure over here. Hopefully you guys don't get too much bad audio on that. But that one there, that one up there, that's just got mulch, a few basic plants that are actually still in their pots and things there. But yeah, no, it's doing all right. I've got my first thumbs up on the video. Thanks, guys. Do I keep spiders? I have one little spider. I'm not going to pretend to pronounce the Latin name because I have no idea. It's one of the Phlogiuses, not the Selenotypuses, I believe. I'm not good with Latin, so don't crucify me on that one, please. Hey, Coop, how you going? I need to turn my volume down on this thing because I'm getting some notifications coming through. No worries, John. Do I have a coastal carpet python? I don't. I used to. I don't anymore. He was an awesome snake. He was a caramel jag coastal, but I'm not big into my morphs anymore. So I sold him to a fella, and he took Bradley along with it, and they popped out eggs about a month after me selling them. So lost it there. That's a good question, Brad. Yeah, people do spend a lot of time heating their enclosures and everything. Definitely agree with you there. As far as keeping my animals cool during the warmer months, which is really big for me and it's probably going to stress me out a bit more this year, just since I've got some more cooler climate species. I'm actually using some of those Inkbird thermostats that are connected to like an aquarium fan or a PC fan, essentially, on a few of my enclosures. Because those Inkbird thermostats, not only do they notify you when you've got a problem going on or if it's getting too hot or something, but they've also got a cooling option in there. So last year I was using it on the Boyds where, if it got really hot in here, it'd at least blow some cool air down on them, which is quite good. The other thing I do is I've got everything on timers here. So I actually kill the heat during the day. So I might kind of give the animals maybe 3-4 hours of basking time in the morning and UV and all the rest of it. Then I'll kill it for about 6 hours of the middle of the day, and then I'll give them some more in the afternoon. And by that time, I'm home, so I can kind of assess it or roll up the doors here or whatever, and let some cool air come through while they've at least got a chance to heat up. But yeah, that's how I'm rolling with cooling these guys down. I've also got you can't see it, actually it's over there. I moved it over there so you can't see it. It's a portable air conditioner. So I've got that here too. So if it does get super, super hot, then I've got that, and I can kind of feed that outside as well and let the water drain away from it. But that'll cool down in here quite nicely. Commit to it, Coop. The internet needs more awesome setups, especially the Australian scene. We do need some more awesome setups for things like the roughies and the green trees, and at least they're not too big. They're not going to eat you out of house and home. Not like some of my bigger snakes here. I'm about to go and probably drop about better part of $500 on rats next week. So hopefully that'll get me through most of summer. No worries at all, Brad. Yeah, Coop, jump in there. Got to help Rachel out. She needs to know how to care for a tree skink. Surely you know that. You've got probably more legged animals than I do. Yes, that is exactly Cooper, who I just referred to you for some blue tongue sales. I'm very jealous, Coop. I'm very, very jealous. I don't know if you guys can see this, but check out what I'm wearing. I got one of my first Teespring shirts. This little lace monitor was at a campground not too far from me. Now he or she has made it onto a shirt. I'm pretty sure it's a she, but I'm probably wrong. So if you haven't already, go and check out Teesprings. See if you want to get some shirts happening. I've actually just started up my jar for Sydney Wildlife because 10% of the profits are going towards Sydney Wildlife and going straight into Lindley, who's the reptile coordinator for the Northern Beaches sector of Sydney Wildlife. So we're going to be putting it towards that and giving her a little bit of money to go and help save some wildlife. Do I have any Atlas singlets that are for the bigger guys? I don't yet. I have to go through my photos, but I will make one. I might even make it after this video for you. So keep an eye out. Well, that's awesome to hear, Brad. Glad you're enjoying that. That's awesome to hear as well, Aaron. And for you guys that don't know, Aaron's actually been one of my first Patreons that's jumped on board. So I think I've got 5 Patreons now. Brad's one of them as well. So you have to thank these guys. They're keeping the lights on here, that's for sure. I actually went out and bought a new light ring, which you can see the reflection of there, but that's why you guys can probably see me a little bit more in this dark environment. So yeah, thanks for all the Patreons out there that are jumping on board. That's awesome. Yeah, Coop, I think I'm 25 away or something at last check. I'm edging towards it, I reckon, by the end of next week. Hopefully we would have cracked the 1,000 sub mark. Yeah, there might be something special happening. I actually have to wait for some stock. So I'm thinking about doing a giveaway once I get to that 20 more left. Geez, I'm getting closer. There you go. I'm thinking about doing a giveaway after I hit that 1K mark. I just need to get some stuff in stock, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to post some things internationally at the moment either. So it may just be for Australians, but we'll see what happens there. Good snake for beginners. Ooh, good snake for beginners. I started out with a Stimpson's python just because it doesn't get too big. He's a snappy little bugger, but, you know, good species. But in all honesty, I think it comes down to what you like. I get this question at work all the time, like, is a children's python the first sort of snake you need to start with? No, definitely not. You could go straight for something like a Bredli or a carpet or something like that. And I probably wouldn't go the route of, you know, an olive or a scrub or, you know, something too big. But in saying that, you know, I'd find a species that you like the look of and maybe work from there. Because in any species, you're going to find some snakes that are jerks and some snakes that are just awesome. So, you know, it's just a matter of finding the exact right one for you. Womas can be really good as a first one, but I find in my personal experience, I've had either really, really good womas or really, really jerk womas. There's no kind of like middle ground. But you'll never have a drama feeding a woma. The problem is keep not feeding them too much. I hope that answered your question all right, Jason. But yeah, one that you like. No point of being snobby in this hobby, I reckon. You know, some people might be, but you know, I don't see the need in it personally. Everyone's got to start somewhere. I was just the same once upon a time, as was, you know, all of us. So get a woma. Yeah, EJ says get a woma. EJ recently got a woma. He got a South Australian woma. So South Australians get pretty big. But I don't know if his parents knew that so much, but a little bit cheeky there. See you later, Rachel. Thanks for jumping on. I love diamond pythons. Diamond pythons, as far as Morelia goes, I reckon they're one of the most bulletproof snakes you can get. I think that's why I've got 3 of them here. They're beautiful, beautiful animals. Do I house snake together? I do. I'm naughty. But, you know, you can't always do it, and there's certain sort of things that, you know, if you are going to cohab snakes, you've got to look out for, and, you know, hopefully I don't see any issues from it. But I've got 3 diamond pythons in one enclosure, and I've got 2 rough scale pythons in one enclosure, but they're the only ones that I'm housing together. What's this question here? The heat projector is doing its job well. That's good. That's very good. if you had a normal wild type olive and you were wanting to breed it with something for albino, would you pair it with a het or with an actual albino? I'm setting up for the project that you'll be doing. Okay, so if you had a normal olive and you had an albino olive, I'd be breeding those back together. I wouldn't bother with buying a het just because then you're only going to get pos hets. So I'm pretty sure if you at least get an albino olive and you cross it to a normal olive, you're actually going to get 100% hets out of that, and you can breed those guys back together to get albinos. You wouldn't believe it, Coop, after a recommendation of Mr. Marcus Haley himself and putting the little basking light out. I'll see if I can sneak you guys over here, actually. Bear with me. Oh, move my chair out of the way. Get have a look at my roof. Do I see the she-oak much? The answer is yes. He's slinking away now, but he comes out and basks all the time in front of me, so I'm very lucky. He absolutely loves it. I'm really stoked with this t-shirt. It's pretty cool. What do we got here? How often should you feed your snakes? I think that's a bit of a personal question. A lot of people will do things differently. I used to be kind of a really religious feeder where I'd feed, it was like every Tuesday morning I was feeding. And I think the problem there is the snakes are in a constant mode of digestion. So, they never get to the stage where they're actually really hungry again and wanting to look for food. So now I feed every now and then, maybe every 2 to 3 weeks, thereabouts. If it's a younger snake, like let's say I was to get some hatchlings or something like that out this year, which I'm hoping to hopefully get a few of those childrens to come out, I'd be feeding them probably a couple of times a week just to get size onto them. But once they got to a decent size, I'd then be backing it off. So with my bigger snakes, anywhere from every 10 days to every month. It just depends. Are you breeding the diamonds this year? I'm planning to. I hope they are too, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens. It's just a bit of a waiting game with those guys. So who knows is the answer to that. I'm letting them do their thing. They've got almost no heat on them at the moment. I'm thinking about probably maybe another week or so, and I'll turn the heat panel back on up the top and start warming them up a little bit. Just they've been chilled down for a couple of months now, probably the better part of 3 months. So yeah, hopefully I've cooled them down enough, and hopefully the garage has gotten cold enough. But yeah, I'd like to get some baby diamonds out. That was the Ecotech one on the video. Yeah, so that was the same one that you got, Brad, one of the Spiral Pros, like the heat projector. That's the one you were talking about. They're top notch. I'm definitely getting some more of those. As I was saying earlier, I've just ordered some LEDs that I'm going to turn into Atlas's enclosure and my Jungle Python enclosure into the big vivariums. And once those are here and in, and I can see them a little bit better, I'm going to switch over the heat globes to the Spiral Pro heat projectors. Switch to Reptisun T5 high output. Love it, and thanks for recommending. I absolutely love them too. I'm actually going to put one over my diamonds, I reckon, very shortly. Once I can get them back in stock. I can't keep them on the shelves at work. So it's a very, very popular item. Other than myself, do I know anyone currently breeding Gillons in the Sydney, Central Coast, Newcastle region? Potentially Gavin Mellon? I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Gavin, if you happen to watch this video, I'm sorry if I didn't. But Gavin, I think he's got a Facebook page. It's like varanus.com.au or something like that. He kills it with monitors. That seems to be his specialty. He's just little dwarf monitors. I'm really hoping to breed mine this season. I've actually just kind of started warming them up and pumping them with food. And tomorrow I'm actually going to be filming a, if I get time, because I've got a few things that we want to film tomorrow, but I'm pretty sure I'll be filming a how to care and breed Gillons monitor video. So yeah, I mean, I haven't exactly nailed it down as such, and they're probably my most unsuccessful monitors in my experience, and I think that's why they're still here, is because not only does everybody want them, but I want more of them. So they're a pretty handy little monitor. And Coop was very lucky. I think he got one of two sold last year, so that was it. So if you're going over onto Coop's Reptiles YouTube channel, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to him and watch some of his monitor videos with his little Gillens monitor. That's one that came from me. And Coop's got him just about tongue trained down to come up his arm and stuff, which is unreal. Better than my ones anyway. They run away from me. Atlas is always picky with his rats. He's not a fan whatsoever. But he had a large quail the other day, and he's deep in shed. So yeah, I was maybe going to crack him out tonight, but he's blue as anything. Do I give my snakes calcium? No, I don't. I give my snakes rodents which have some form of calcium in their bones. So that's the calcium intake that they get. But not like a lizard or anything like that. Like, I'm not injecting rodents with calcium to give my snakes more calcium, if that's what you mean. As far as the output goes, I've just had a friend say that I'm not live, apparently. I am. I think his YouTube's not working. Yeah, so as far as the high output goes, I think I will be dimming the hours back on them just because it is pretty intense. But in saying that, like, my lights are on from about 6:30 in the morning to about 6:30 at night, so they are getting quite a bit. But my monitors seem, so I'm not too concerned about that. And where the light is on my frill neck, for example, there's a lot of distance it can cover before it necessarily sees him. The Boyd's Forest Dragons, they have a ton of cover as well, and it's also going through mesh, and they've only got a 5.0, so I'm not too stressed about that. But yeah, it is something that I've considered, is actually just turning the light hours of it down. The problem in a couple of those enclosures, though, is it will reduce the daylight hours, because that's essentially what's giving them light inside their enclosure, because they've got like deep heat projectors in there now. So that's something else I've got to take into consideration. So with all the experts under the one roof here, so to speak, where would you guys recommend getting your reptile supplies, not animals, from? I'd personally recommend getting them from High Tech Aquariums in Brookville, but that's just because I've become sponsored by my employer now. So yeah, I'm pretty stoked to get a little sponsorship out of him. But it depends where you live, you know. So whereabouts do you live? Oh, in Albury. Sorry, I didn't read that comment. Should have done that. I do even have my glasses on. I'm not even sure where Albury is. I'm living under a rock, clearly. I'm just telling my friend that I've been live for 23 minutes. So there you go, Cam. If you watch this back for any reason and you haven't found it, New South Wales, Victoria border. Okay, so if you're down that way, maybe even like an amazing Amazon could ship some stuff to you. They're down that sort of way. Oh, that's good to know. Good to know, Coop. I'm always interested in what's going on with that little dude. I always get excited when I see him in a video. Any luck finding a partner for Loki? I've had offers, definitely, of animals for Loki. They tend to be hatchlings that are unsexed. So for me personally, I don't want to take a massive punt on a hatchling, raise it up, then it's another male. But in saying that as well, I don't know if I've got the space. So yeah, unfortunately, I don't think I'll be getting another mangrove monitor anytime soon, which is a little bit disheartening, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Cam's really struggling with technology here. He's trying to get into the live chat here, but no luck. Cam came up not too long ago and actually, there he is. I was just calling you out in front of the internet, Cam, and saying that you can't work out your technology, but you finally got in. There you go. Cam came up and got some springtails off me not too long ago, actually. So hopefully he starts up a nice little culture for himself. Yeah, 100%, Ryan. That's probably the best way to do it. I 100% agree. I just don't have the money to throw down, $3,000 to $5,000 for a few mangrove monitors. So one day maybe. I need to buy a place first. So hopefully I won't be here for too long. Been talking to mortgage brokers and stuff now. So depending on what coronavirus does for us, I may be moving into an apartment, or I may be moving into a property. It's a little bit unsure as of now. G'day, Dwayne F. How you going? Thanks for joining in the chat. Yeah. Well, at least if you were doing it for Rusty's or Merton's, at least it'd be good. Yeah, if I got an island home, I would be going nuts. My wife would probably like it because I'd be out frolicking in my backyard, but I'd be having diamond pythons outside, lizard pits everywhere, turtle ponds, you name it. I'd still be keeping all this stuff indoors though. G'day, Renee. Brad's wife. How you going? Do I sell springtails and roly-polies at High Tech? I don't sell roly-polies there, or isopods, or slaters, or whatever you want to refer to them as. But I can bring springtails in. So if you want them through the shop, just let us know. Put your name in I've got a reptile book there with anything that's like live food or whatever, any sort of special recommendations. You can get some springtails there, or if you're local, I'm happy to sell them to you locally as well. I'm actually sending some out via post tomorrow to Penrith. I just have to kind of work out how to make them last in postage. So one person, Cam here, unfortunately, he's got left in the mailbox. So I got a little bit cooked. That's all right. I knew what you meant. Roly-polies. That's what I used to call them as kids. You only get one type that rolls up as well. There's another little type that stays a bit smaller and a bit lighter grey. Yeah, we sell Universal Rock there. We just sell out very quickly. So if you want Universal Rock, or you want any like special Universal Rock backgrounds or whatever ordered in, we can do that for sure. I just made up our albino Darwin carpet a Universal Rock background for her enclosure actually there, and yeah, it's a 4 foot by 4 foot, same as what my diamonds are in. I think the background would have been worth maybe about in the vicinity of about, I'm going to say $600, $650 for that. But I had to put a fair bit of labour in it to join it up. So I did like an expanding foam gap down the middle of it and used a Dremel to kind of blend it into each other and painted it all up so it just matched in perfectly. And yeah, so I should be releasing a video of that. So I did take a few little cheeky clips, and I'm sure Ben will let me pop that up on the internet. How much should I pay for a diamond python hatchling? Depends what the parents are like. I'd say anything from about $100 to $400. So that's if you got some really specky parents that are high yellow or something like that, or high black and white or something, then you might pay up there. But yeah. Thanks, EJ. I like it. EJ's another Patreon as well. He's jumped over on Patreon. And between him and Aaron and EJ both came in and bought one of the Bioactive kits that Corey does through work. So Corey from Fish in South Australia does an awesome little Bioactive kit, and they've both set them up. So I'm pretty happy. I'm actually going to get one for another build here, so I'll show you guys on the channel. Yeah, it's not cheap, mate. Unfortunately, Universal Rock is expensive. It's worth it though, just like you say. Have you tried shopping around for food online, Brad? Like livefood.com. I think Brian's Worms does wood roaches as well, depending on what you're after. Jack Morrow, g'day mate. My roughies are loving their tank. Actually, I'm going to take you guys over and show you the roughy tank because it's and I love it. I've got one roughy out at the moment too, so let me just slide this door open. We'll have a bit of a cheeky peek. I don't know if you can see her up there. That's her favourite shelf. She absolutely loves it. The one thing I'm going to have to learn is how to clean urate off this background without damaging it. So, you know, it's all a learning curve here. But yeah, she's absolutely loving the enclosure. Let me see if I can just fold you guys up and get you in a little closer. I can't see what I'm filming, so hopefully you can see her there. But yeah, she's absolutely loving it. And I'm loving it too. I'll lock that door shut before I forget to. Oh, Loki's taking himself to bed. All right. Yeah, blending universal rock definitely takes a bit of technique, that's for sure. And after using a Dremel on it myself, I actually went out and bought a Dremel for here. So I'm going to be doing a new Exoterra tank soon, the big paludarium. I'll probably be doing an expanding foam background all over it, but I'll probably be using a Dremel to just shape it right back. So that'll be exciting. Thanks, Dwayne. I appreciate it. I haven't, Cam. I was going to do it for this paludarium, but I'd already bought the expanding foam, so I may as well use what I've got first. But after speaking to you and seeing what you're doing with the insulation foam, I might be trying to do that for my Gillens and my Kimberley rock monitor enclosure because they need something that looks a little bit nicer in there as well. So, you know, if I'm going to deck it all out, I might as well do it properly, and I reckon those will be the way to go for those. For an adult mangrove, as big as you can get. Honestly, like even Loki looks a little bit. I don't think he looks cramped in this one that he's in now. But should I have to build in something bigger, I might actually just like do it a little bit deeper front to back even. So his enclosure dimensions at the moment, that's 2 meters long, 1.2 meters tall, and 90 centimeters front to back. And he's comfortable in there now, don't get me wrong, but I think the more space the merrier at the end of the day. I'd recommend an incubator that is stable. So for me, you can actually see it. That's my incubator there. I was super lucky. I got that off a friend for $200. That's a Kamani reptile incubator. So it's a purpose-built incubator for reptile eggs. And I think retail, they were $1,200 when they first came out. So it's old, but it does the job. So I mean, I've done like your old fridge incubators and stuff like that as well, which work perfectly fine, with like heat cord and fans and all the rest of it in there. But you just just got to put it together yourself. Dimming thermostat's probably where you want to do it, or a pulse thermostat, just something to kind of really keep the temperature stable. I wouldn't necessarily do an on-off thermostat inside an incubator unless it was something that wasn't so fragile. Oh, roughies are awesome. I'm so stoked to have these guys in this enclosure now as well. So, yeah, you're not wrong there, Jack. I reckon there's going to be a lot of people after him this year. I've talked to a lot of friends who are after him as well. So, yeah, I'd say there's going to be a few queues and waiting lists going around. Do I know any private reptile breeders in New South Wales? There's a lot of private reptile breeders in New South Wales. Myself being one of them, even though I only breed a little bit here and there these years around now. But yeah, there's plenty. Depends what you're looking for. Yeah, definitely, Brad. I reckon albino Darwins do have way more sensitive eyes than a standard Darwin. I see that a lot in our Darwin at work. I was never the biggest fan of albino Darwins before working with Alaska, our one at work. But she's quite a cool snake. So definitely pros and cons. But I find that she does seem to hide away a fair bit, whether that's just her as a personality, but I reckon it is something to do with the sensitive eyes and bright lights. So it's, yeah, it's, I don't think you'd be wrong in saying that they have sensitive eyes. I think that goes for albinos of any species, to be honest. I know that like albino knobtail geckos, for example, they have a lot of struggle eating food and stuff because their eyesight's so poor. So albinism, whilst it looks very cool, is not always the best thing for an animal. So the Darwins aren't too bad though, but yeah, I just wouldn't blast them with light. To work, Coop. Tongues at work whenever you're ready. That's crazy. Usually we wouldn't sell out this quick, but I'm almost sold out of all our reptiles at work. This virus has just sent everybody into a spin and everyone's at home and bored. So I think I've got 2 Bredley, 3 Murray Darlings. At last count, I had 3 or 4 pygmy bearded dragons, 1 eastern blue tongue, about 15 long neck turtles, and maybe 6 short neck turtles, and that's all I've got left. Which for me, that's nothing. It's kind of nice actually, because then I don't have to feed so much. What's an easy to start frog species? I want to expand my bioactive knowledge and potentially get into frogs. If I was to say something right off the bat, and a lot of people might not agree with me on this, just because they're not in everybody's books the prettiest frogs, Perron's tree frogs are bulletproof. They're awesome little frogs. I think they look gorgeous. They get like awesome little green specklings and bits and pieces all over them, and they've got this awesome like yellow and black pattern on the inside of their thighs. But they're a good sized frog too, so you might get them to about 6 centimeters or so. Red-eyed tree frogs I'd probably put in the same sort of game per se. They're both small enough that they're not going to destroy all your plants and stuff like that either. So it's probably not a bad sized frog. Whereas at least things like green tree frogs, they get quite big and chunky, and they might end up smashing some plants around on you. A good place to research about morphs. If you're talking about morph carpet pythons and things, probably a good one to do would actually be go out and buy the more carpet python book, which I believe is by Nick Mutton and Justin Zoolander. It's an awesome book to have in your library, and it goes into a lot of genetic detail in there, which that's quite a cool book. Anybody out there should be buying books. I love my books. I love my reptile books. I don't always read them, but they're there on the shelf when I need to. If I was only going to be able to keep one subspecies of carpet python, what would you keep? If we're talking Morelia, diamond pythons, that's easy because that's why they're still here. If we're talking carpet pythons per se, other than a diamond python, I've still got my jungle, but it's not necessarily because I love jungles. I'd probably say I'd do something like a Murray Darling, or I wouldn't mind getting my hands on some imbricata, to be honest. I reckon that'd be pretty cool, but probably just because I haven't had them before and they're a little bit rare. I'm not sure where to get she oaks, I'm afraid, Ryan. I was very lucky with my one. I had a friend who had him, and she no longer keep him anymore. But every now and then you see them come up for sale, and sometimes it's a little bit questionable as to where their origin is. But I'm sure there's some legit ones floating around. It's just not one of those common skinks, unfortunately. Yeah, I'm not surprised at all, Coop. I'm lucky if I get anything before then with blue tongues. Usually it's kind of more towards the end of January for me with the blotchies, if they do go. I didn't get any last year, so I'm really hoping to get some this year. I can't wait for them to wait. They're out basking now, but they're not hungry. Not yet anyway. How are the Gillens looking for this season? I think they're looking pretty good, to be honest. I'm starting to really pump them with food now that they're waking back up too. So I'm going to be giving it everything I've got this season for some gillons. But I did last year too, and I didn't get much. So, it's just kind of hit and miss with those guys, unfortunately. But I think now that they've been in particular enclosure for a little bit longer as well, they may be a bit more settled into it. So I think last year I may have disturbed their breeding. I've got a little fruit fly here. Need to let my frogs loose. So I think this year they may be a little bit more on the ball. I've just got to be on the ball with checking them for eggs as well. So their enclosure gets super hot. So the last thing I want to do is miss any goodies. Oh, Matt from the Central Coast. There we go. That's half the reason I'm getting Gillen's questions. You've already got a couple, mate. I unfortunately just gave you 2 boys without realising one was a boy. Must have had some very small hemipenes. That's all right. He knows I'm going to sort him out with a girl. We'll figure something out there. So, yes, I am trying to really hammer those Gillens this season and get some babies out. Sorry, I'll come back to your question there, Jamison. I just got to quickly hit this one from Brad. Never is the answer to that question. Yeah, not on my to-do list. All right, so Jamison Brody here said, how do you drain excess water out of my drainage layers? Very tediously. I don't have to do it all the time, but every now and then when I do it in the tanks that do get particularly wet, I just got like a length of airline from like aquariums, like a little tiny, it's like a 4 or 5 mil silicone hole put down into there, and then just slowly trickle water into a bucket. So I just kind of jam it down. I know a lot of people kind of have like little lengths of hose or whatever already prepared in there. Some of the frogs that I deal with are so small they get down in between that. So I kind of carefully get in there and put the little length of air line down there and drain it out. If I could own any reptile well in the world, and what would it be? So I had to answer this the other night when I was on Morelia Python Radio. So if you know those guys, I did it's about an hour and a half talk on bioactive terrariums over there. Definitely left out a few things I should have mentioned, but that's all right. But they asked me that very question, and I reckon I'd have to be either a Galapagos or an Aldabran tortoise. I'm a tortoise fiend. I'd absolutely love to get my hands on some tortoises. So it's unfortunate we can't here, but it is what it is. For my honeymoon, actually it was on my birthday whilst I was on my honeymoon, 2017. My wife took me to this island, like a little tiny speck of an island that's off the side of Mauritius, outside of Africa. And we got to go and hang out with some Aldabran tortoises that were just like free roaming on that island. And man, I just lost my mind. I got to feed them like palm fronds and things. It was awesome. I've seen some sick wild she oaks with bright yellow bellies with some red, awesome little skinks. Yeah. My one is plain brown, but I still love him. I love his little. He's so cool. Yeah, I bet you do. I think Matt would have an army of Gillen's monitors. How much am I letting the Gillen's monitors go for? I kind of fluctuate my prices slightly with what's going on in the whole scheme of things with the retail market, with the reptile market. I usually let them go for about $350 thereabouts, but give them away for free. Not that you're not asking that question. I know you're not asking that question, but yeah. That's right. I have to scroll up here for a sec. No worries, Jamison. Yes, Cooper's a very lucky bugger, everybody. He works at the reptile park. Whilst I get to teach everybody how to look after their pygmy bearded dragons, he's out there playing with rough scales and tortoises and all the cool stuff. So very jealous of Cooper. Interested in purchasing a lace monitor hatchling? Not right now. If I end up with a big backyard that I can keep it outdoors, yes, definitely. Best terrarium size for the Gillens, as big as you can. I'd say as an adult, I'd be trying to give them at least a 90 centimetre by 60 centimetre tall by 45 centimetre deep terrarium. I've got my adult pair in a 120 centimetre long by 60 centimetre deep by, it's about 55 centimetres tall terrarium. If I could get another monitor, what would it be? Let's pretend that question has like no restrictions on price, size, any sort of like caging or anything like that. Like if it was just like another monitor that I really wanted, I think I'd have to go the obvious route and say an emerald tree monitor. My reason for that is not only would I be able to keep it in like a really sick bioactive terrarium and make like a full rainforest for them, but after watching Dion from Reptiliartus's videos on his little guy and kind of tongue training it up and everything, I reckon that'd just be such a cool little monitor to have as a little display pet. But I mean, I'd love something like a Parenti too, but honestly, like I don't want anything too big to handle here. It's just work. You know, if I had no other animals, I'd definitely get into big monitors, but I like having a variety to kick around with. The roughies are going really well with settling into their new enclosure, actually. They've both eaten since being in there, and they've both found their favourite spots. So the female hangs up, well, I don't know that she's a female. She's supposedly a female, but we'll find out one day. The female hangs up on the top shelf, just kind of thermoregulating left to right up there, and the male does the same, but on underneath the leaf litter, so he moves around down the bottom there, so that's pretty cool to see. The male was actually out the other night too. He'd crawled up and he was crawling up the vine when I came in here, so I like to come in and spy on him at night. And yeah, he was climbing up the vine and checking out the girls, and they seem to be doing pretty good. But yeah, they've both eaten. They're both looking pretty good. So I've just been watering the plants in too, just trying to keep the humidity up in there. But the plants are already starting to grow actually, so they've just taken right off. They seem to have really loved being put into a fair bit of Yuki mulch. No, I can't say I've seen Chandler's videos on the Emerald Tree Monitor. I'll have to go back through and have a look. I don't mind his channel, but I don't get onto it as much as I should. I usually get stuck watching Camp Cannon and the tortoises. It's pretty much where it stops for me. Thanks, Josh. Yeah, no, I was a bit starstruck to be on NPR the other night. It was quite cool. It was a different experience, and you know, I'm kind of used to standing behind a camera and being able to edit what I want, and you know, I definitely think I missed a few things that I would have liked to have talked about a little bit more, or you know, maybe just put a bit more into it. But that's how these things go. I think I was just starstruck being able to talk to the guys that I've been listening to for the better part of 8 years. So it was pretty cool. With the inception of new licensing regulations due to be introduced in Queensland, do you believe it would be more beneficial to breeders from other states? Would what be more beneficial to breeders from other states? As in like different animals that we're allowed to breed and they're not? Or I'm not 100% down with what's going on up in Queensland, to be honest. I know I heard some stuff going around that they weren't going to be able to keep some of the big species. I think things like Parentis and stuff like that were going to get kind of taken off them or something along those lines. So yeah, I'm not 100% sure what's going on up there, I'm afraid. I don't pip python eggs. Well, I lie. I wait for pythons in a clutch to pip their eggs, and then from there I'll use a pair of little toenail scissors or whatever to go around and just lightly cut the rest of the eggs. But I don't go like full prehistoric pets and cut big circles or anything. I just do it so that they, you know, if they're poking around trying to find a hole, they'll eventually find it and come out, not drown. But I always wait for the first few to kind of pip their eggs. Oh, right. Ouch. First category with licensing is that holders can't breed their reptiles. That's nuts. That really sucks. I didn't know that. It shows how much I keep my head in the sand about some stuff, right? Yeah, I didn't know that. So I suppose if little Johnny has two bearded dragons or whatever, and he can't put them together and earn some pocket money to help feed his dragons for the rest of the year, it's that sucks. Sorry, Queensland, that's really heavy. No worries, Dwayne. Man, that's crazy. I didn't realise it was getting that intense up there. I thought we had a pretty rough year with not being able to import green tree pythons and things from other states because New South Wales was being a bit sticky on that, but that's next level. All my snakes are hiding, all my diamonds are hiding. I'm going to quickly give it another quick little plug, but if you haven't already, go and check out the Teespring store. Get some cool reptile merchandise. And if you feel up to it and if you want to do it, you're more than welcome to go and support me over on Patreon and get a little bit of extra content that I don't post up on Facebook or anything. And then every second Sunday, I'll be doing a live stream just for the Patreons as well. So, it's a little bit extra. If you want to give me a small donation, any of that money that does come in earned via Patreon or Teespring is pretty much going back into the animals or equipment or something else for recording purposes here. I hate to say it, EJ, but I think I probably get asked about Gillons 4 or 5 times a week. So there's probably in the vicinity, I'd say, at least of 100 people on a waiting list. So I have to, they may have found animals or they might not be serious about it either. So I'll have to work through the list, but I'll tag you on to the end of it for sure. As for many more reptiles in the future, or I'd say right now I'm reasonably happy. I have gotten another couple of frogs that the Patreons have seen that haven't gone out onto YouTube or Facebook or anything as of yet. There is a little video of that that will be coming out probably Friday next week. But as for any other reptiles, I'm reasonably happy for now. It's also about space too, so yeah. I'm just going to go see if I can grab this lizard real quick. I'll be right back. Give me 2 seconds. All right, he was way too quick for me. I'm getting too slow. The little guy could just come back out, but I just wanted to see if I could get him out for a look. That size enclosure for a diamond python hatchling, if you're talking a fresh hatched diamond python, I probably wouldn't personally put it in something quite that big, just in case it got a little bit freaked out. But if it seemed to be comfortable and eating in the environment and everything there, then you could probably get away with it for the first couple of years, at least 2 years of life, maybe 3 if you're lucky and you're slow growing it. G'day, Zafar. Hopefully I pronounced your name right. I'm sorry if I didn't, Zafar. Welcome to jumping on here. Nice to chat to you. What thermostats do you use to control day-night heating and lights? I use timers for lights and I use timers for thermostats as well. So I'm not a big believer in complicated thermostats. I keep everything super, super simple here. I'm just using things like Haberstat dial thermostats or on-off thermostats that are just connected to a timer. Yeah, it's really boring, I'm afraid. I'm not that much of a tech-savvy guy. I'm not the big fan of kind of those day-night cycle ones where you got to program everything and it just a million years. I may be persuaded into some of those stuff because I might potentially be getting a couple of thermostats that are maybe given to me, but we'll see how that goes. 2 foot, 2 foot, 2 foot. Okay, for an adult stimmy melamine enclosure. Yep, probably not too bad. I mean, if you could give them a slightly longer space, it'd be okay. But in all honesty, yeah, just put some branches and things in there so I can get up a little bit and, use the space up high as well, and it'll probably be okay in something like that. Again, it's like, if you feed it into a massive Stimson's python, then crash hot. No worries, Jason. Hello, Sean MC. Yep, cut heat, straight off. See you later. Yep, I don't do anything. Sun goes down, the heat drops quick, so I just kind of follow the same sort of thing. And most of these boxes here are all timber or whatever, so they're going to have some sort of residual heat, or if not, a lot of the heating elements are above things like rocks or whatever that might kind of hold a little bit of extra heat. So the only time that I won't kill heat is, like, let's say I have to feed somebody during winter and they've eaten a super big meal or whatever, then I might leave the heat on them, like python wise, for the night. Otherwise, all the lizards, heat goes off. See you later. Okay, so here we go. Do you use the Inkbird with the deep heat projectors? Does it matter they're on and off rather than dimming? I am using the Inkbird with one of the deep heat projectors, and I'm also using just a simple deep heat projector. I'm just using them on the deep heat projectors rather than dimmings at the moment because on and offs are cheaper. I would prefer to use dimming thermostats on them, in all honesty, but there's no harm in using on and off with them. I think the only thing you don't want to use is you don't want to use pulse thermostats through them. I don't think you should do those with any sort of, if I'm not mistaken, heating element that's kind of like a globe in a sense. So I think they're only made for things like heat cords and heat mats and stuff. Spiny tail or golden tailed gecko? I'm assuming that's what you were asking a question of. If I was to choose between the two, personally, I'd say spiny tail gecko, and that's only because I already owned golden tail geckos. So, yeah, that's just from my experience. So, I'd probably go the spiny tails. I'm actually thinking about maybe getting some spiny tails. So if I was going to add anything to the collection, it'd be something small, just because I might be moving into an apartment. So I don't want to take anything else that's already big on. I've got enough big animals here, like Loki and olive python and the diamonds and all the other snakes and stuff. So how do you think the breeding season this year will be affected with what's going on? I don't think it'll necessarily be affected with what's going on. I'm assuming you're referring to coronavirus. I think people are still going to meet essentially face to face to do sales. I like, obviously you're not going to be able to do expos if this kind of keeps carrying on the way that it's going, but most of my stuff personally tends to get sold without going to expos. It just kind of happens that, if I can chuck a couple of things on a table at a mate's or something like that, then that's an option. Crack my back out here. So up to 10 animals and $59 fee. First license tier in Queensland, no breeding. Then second tier jumps to $316, 50 animals with breeding class 1 and 2 reptiles. Might not be too bad with that. Yeah, they are cool, cool spiny tail geckos, those guys. That's for sure. What type of heating? So underneath their hide, they're right here, so I'll try to show you. Underneath that rock hide there, I've got a heat cord wrapped in between a few tiles. So that warms up. That's got a thermostat set on it to it. I think it's set to about 29, 30 degrees there. And then up here, this is their little basking shelf. And that white thing that they've half dragged down, it's not on at the moment, but that's a heat panel. So that'll heat up to, I think, about 32, 33 there. But they only really use that when they're wanting to get super, super warm if they've eaten or something. All right, I'm going to try to grab this skink again. He's just come out. Wish me luck. Oh, I got him. Sorry to run away from you like that. He's all, he just bit me. And he peed on me. Thanks, mate. That's mental. There you go. My first she-oak bite. It's because I've got him on a heat tile. Well, not a heat tile. I've got a little heat lamp above him now, so he's all energized. He's been out hunting crickets. He gave me a good little nip. So this is Oakley, the she-oak skink, the one that I've tried to catch twice this afternoon, but he's pretty cool little lizard. Say hi to YouTube, Oakley. And don't poo on the laptop. He's a cool little skink, hey? Check out the little tongue on him. Where did I get up to? Oh, he's so energized. Yeah, definitely give the Inkbird thermostat a go on your deep heat projector. There are no dramas at all. At least I know you're well hydrated. Jesus. Leaked all over me. I've got 2 videos that are already filmed, ready to drop. So I'm trying to average about 2 videos a week at this stage. And tomorrow I'm probably going to start about another 3 or 4 videos. So there's definitely a lot in the works. If you guys ever want to shoot me an idea of a video you want to see, please do so, even if it's just via my Facebook page or Instagram or wherever you can do it. Because essentially I'm just keeping a list of things inside my phone of what I want to do and what other people want to do or see. And I'll work my way through them. I can't believe you bit me, you little bugger. He's all charged up. You should see the tongue just going on him. Pretty cool. You're all happy, hey? Anyway. I got eggs from my Spinosaurus while keeping them outside in warm weather. That's sick. That's really, really cool. I'm glad these pants were already dirty. Thanks, mate. He just absolutely let loose on me. I'm going to go pop him back, though, just so he's a little bit more comfortable before he bites me again. Excuse me, just spraying F10 on my hands. Hello, Vicus. Or Vicus, however you wish to say that. Oh. There you go. I've never been pooed on by a she-oak skink before. It was the first time for everything. Got urate on the pants too. That's wicked. My Luffies are definitely loving their new enclosure. They're absolutely loving it, and I'm loving seeing them in it. It just looks so much better. I think I was giving everybody a bit of a sneak peek of the Ruffy enclosure. Well, not a sneak peek because it's out there, but I was giving everybody a peek at the Ruffy enclosure before, so I'll go back over there just because it's probably one of the more popular sites at the moment. Crack this open a little bit. There we go. I've got one little Ruffy up the top there. Hopefully you can see her. And the other one's like way down underneath the substrate on this side. How am I? I'm very well, Vickers, thank you. Oh, that's awesome to know, Bo. Whereabouts are you working? Yeah, they do sell out very quick. I need to order more for myself, but my customers keep getting them. I'd say you could do either vertical or horizontal in a diamond python enclosure, Jason. In all honesty, like it's up to you. I've definitely found that they use vertical space if you give it to them, but they're going to use horizontal space. That's why I've got a tank that's 4 foot tall, 4 foot wide, a few feet deep. So, yeah, that's just what works for me. How many animals do I have in my collection, and do they raise your energy bill substantially? The answer to that is yes, they do raise it substantially. There's no doubting that whatsoever. But that's because I've probably got in the vicinity of around, the last count was about 80 odd reptiles and amphibians. So I haven't done a count in a little while. But yeah, I'm sitting at around 80, like 5 or 10 thereabouts. I try not to count my reptiles too often. It makes me nervous. I don't go calling me smart. I might get a big head. Yeah, there's heating up the top of the Ruffy enclosure. Sorry, I'm shooting. This is Ben Watson from the Ruffy group on Facebook, but there's a little heat panel. I shouldn't say little. There's a heat panel up the top there. It's over on that side. So they can thermoregulate left to right as well as up and down. I think in the video that I put out for the rough scale enclosure build, I'd already kind of had the heat panel in there by the time I started making it. Vickers, my name is Luke, and I'm from Sydney, Australia, and I have roughly 80 reptiles, give or take. I just try to, if you're going to try to tame them whatsoever, I'd probably be using food as like a positive reinforcement treat. It doesn't mean it's going to work. My blotchies always try to take my fingers off when they get half the chance, but that's because they're pretty wild. They kind of left outside to their own devices. So, yeah, take it for what it's worth. No worries at all, Ben. No worries at all. Got to send me through some photos of your setup if you get it up and running. No worries at all, Josh. Thanks for joining in. I'll probably be ending it here shortly as well, guys. So I may actually do it somewhat now. Has anybody else got some final questions just before I jump off? If so, ask them now or forever hold your peace. I've got a few things in the works anyway. I've got to have a bit of a busy day tomorrow. I'm going to be building a few things here to get my she oak skink off the ground and to give me a place to put my new paludarium Exoterra. Then that'll give me a bit more floor space back in here. I'm looking to get into geckos. Any recommendations for a first? If you can get yourself some like thick-tailed geckos or some even some knobtail geckos or something, they're probably a pretty good one. As long as you didn't want anything arboreal. If you wanted something that was arboreal, any of the Odura velvet geckos, they're pretty damn hardy. Another good starter lizard. I'd get some geckos, just like Mackenzie's talking about there. Probably the same sort of thing. Maybe even some knobtails or some thickies or something like that. They're pretty good going, especially if you're just after something really low maintenance and easy to keep. Thanks, Dwayne. You enjoy your night too. Same to you, EJ. No worries at all, Brad. No such thing as a stupid question. It's only silly if you don't ask a question. Everyone learns. Corey from Fish Organics is an absolute legend. I reckon he does some awesome products, and he's going to be holding a little bit of a niche market very soon. Alrighty, guys, so I'm going to finish it up here. If you haven't already, check out Teespring, Beach's Scaly Beast. They're all in the other videos and stuff that I've got going on there. All that money is just going to go back into supporting my animals and everything here and helping me make a bit more content for you guys. I'm trying to bust out about 2 videos a week now, which can be quite time consuming. And if you want to, like if you really want to join on board, feel free to go and check out Patreon, patreon.com/Beach's Scaly Beasts, I believe the link is. If not, check out my other videos as well. The link will be over in there. And if you want to put forward a small donation monthly, like it could be $1 a month or however small you really want to do it, then you get a little bit of extra content over there. And I'll be doing these live streams just for the Patreons every other Sunday as well. So you can just talk a little bit more one-on-one and a bit more casually. And I'll probably be doing these live streams as well just for everybody on YouTube every other Sunday, just like I am now. So I'll kind of alternate every Sunday afternoon for that. But thank you guys so much for joining in, and I shall catch you very shortly. And yeah, just if you haven't already, I'm sure you all have, but make sure to subscribe to the channel as well. We're about to hit 1,000, and hopefully I'll set up some sort of like some sort of giveaway or something when we hit that 1,000 mark, or shortly out thereafter for hitting 1,000. So anyway, guys, enjoy your Sunday evening, and I'll see you all soon. Cheers.